Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
As far as like a funny story, like Ashley said earlier, she was kind of like a joker. There was like an Al Williamson prank. She would say he's very meticulous and he babies his work a lot. And she said, yeah, everybody wore white dress shirts back then. And he comes in with his new pages and she goes, uh-oh. And then she throws like this invisible ink that shows up as ink. He was like, wow, my child, what did you do? And he's like freaking out. And she would, pull these ribs on the guy. It's like a boys club. You have to play the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Short Box Podcast, Season 7.
The Short Box Podcast was recorded before a live internet audience.
Yo, Shortbox Nation, welcome back. This is episode 322, new friends and first timers. Welcome to the show. You're now tuned into the Shortbox Podcast, which means from here going forward, you're part of the Shortbox Nation. Welcome to the family. My name is Botter Milligan, and today we'll be talking about the late, great Maurice Severin, the legendary comic artist and colorist who's been inducted in not only the Will Eisner Hall of Fame, but also the Harvey Awards Hall of Fame. She was best known for her color and pencil work at EC Comics in the 50s, and later lending her artistic talents to Marvel Comics for over 40 years, from the late 50s to the mid-90s. She passed away 3 years ago, and it's long overdue that we spotlight the high points in her comic career and discuss why she's an artist you should know about. But first, allow me to introduce my crew of friends here with me in the Shortbox studio today, starting with Mr. Cesar Cordero, sitting to the left of me.
Please, from here on out, refer to me as Guapo Goldstein.
Yes.
Guapo Goldstein.
Guapo.
I like that. All right, let me redo that. But first, allow me to introduce my crew of friends here with me in the Shortbox studio today, starting with Mr. Guapo Goldstein, sitting to my
Number one
left.
superstar, intercontinental champion.
Do you prefer Guapo,
Oh, yeah.
or Goldstein?
As you can tell, Cesar is falling down a wrestling rabbit hole.
Yeah,
I
Can't
love
get
it.
Just
out,
brought
guys.
that energy.
I'm sorry.
Welcome.
Next up on the mics is the Edbot 5000 here with us as well. Say what's up to Mr. Edmund Danzart.
What's up?
Dude, that's like a wrestler.
I
That's
know.
my name, too.
Why do you think I use it?
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yo, you
I'm a
talking
noob,
to
man.
you talking to a teacher.
I'm such a
Twisted
noob.
steel and sex appeal. You got it.
Ashley, do you want me to give you some time to think of
that's
something?
great.
Do you want me to give you some time to think of something? I can edit this part out.
No, you can skip me.
I'm leaving.
Skip me today.
Never.
Stone Cold, Ashley Lanny.
I quit.
The distributor of them ash whoopins.
Ash whoopins.
All right, but look, honestly, last but never least is Miss Ashley Laney Hoy rounding out the fourth mic for us. Hello, Ashley.
Hello.
I have a. You can steal this name. There's an
Okay.
artist friend who's Ash. Her name's Ashley, and she goes by Ash Lethal.
Oh, I like
shit.
it.
Sweet name.
All right. Right.
Ash Lethal is
Stolen.
awesome.
Consider it stolen.
I don't really talk to her, so steal that.
Dude, what do we
Yeah.
have?
Take
A
that.
fucking-
Take that. Take that. Take that. Take that.
Trademark.
Ash Lethal. I like it.
Potter.
What's up?
You could be
The Morocco Shame. I thought it was Morocco Shame. I love that.
the
nickname.
Morocco Shame.
Yeah, you gave me that a couple
Oh
episodes
shit!
ago.
I was
Remember,
gonna say
I
the,
was.
the Moroccan Mauler.
Ooh,
Mauler.
That's a good one.
You could just go by
Double
Mauler.
M's.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's my chant? Morocco. What
You
God.
can't wrestle.
Oh my God damn it.
You can't
Of course.
wrestle.
Of course. All right. Listeners, I promise this is not a wrestling podcast. It's just one of them days.
Yet.
But speaking about Ashley, though it was our Patreon subscribers that had the ultimate say in ensuring that Marie Severin was a topic of our show today, you were the one that initially provided her name in the artist spotlight poll that we put up on our Patreon about a month ago. I had told you that I wanted to spotlight one of your favorite comic colorists, and you had shared a list of really good names. But you also made it known that you were hoping Marie Severin would win the poll. And I wanted to know, just short and sweet in a sentence or two, why did you feel like it was important we spotlight Marie Severin?
So the thing about Marie Severin is she came up in comics when it was all dudes doing comics. She was hired as a colorist because nobody wanted to be a colorist. Her brother got her the job. They were going to keep her as like a colorist when they needed her, and somebody that just did odd jobs. I think she called it a Girl Friday.
Girl Friday. I had to look that up.
Back in the
What does that
day.
mean?
And she came at this. She did colors, letters, pencils, inks. She co-created Spider-Woman, The Living Tribunal. She was just like a force to be reckoned with. And at the end of the day, she just wanted to draw for money. She just wanted that to be her job. And she did the best that she could and gained so much respect and got more jobs just because of how hard she worked.
That was really good. And we'll go into that a little deeper. Since we're on introductions, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to some very important people who help us keep the lights on here in the Shortbox studio. Starting with a special spotlight on the best patrons a podcast could ask for, and that's our Patreon subscribers who quite literally brought you today's show. We cannot maintain and grow this show without their help. So if you like what we're doing and you want to support our content, consider joining our Patreon community. You can click the link in the show notes for a list of perks and rewards you can enjoy when you join the Shortbox Elite. And if you're already subscribed to the show, I want you to do me a favor and help us spread the word about the Shortbox Nation. Tell a friend or your favorite comic book nerd about the show and have them subscribe. Word of mouth is a great help to us, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Let's go ahead and give it up one more time for our sponsors and get this show going. So to fully give Marie Severin the true credit she deserves and to highlight everything she's contributed to the comic industry, it would probably require a whole podcast season. But unfortunately, we have a lot of other episodes already lined up. So if anything we cover piques your interest, I implore you to do some further research on what she's done for comics. It's a long list of accomplishments. We're going to go ahead and keep it lean on this episode and insert some of our own opinions and anecdotes. Ashley, I want to go back to you and expand a little more on your opener. In your experience as a professional colorist, what is Marie Severin's reputation like among other comic professionals and colorists?
Mostly just how much of a trailblazer she was, and just like how she really she brought color theory to comics, especially like those old horror comics. She really added a lot to it, and you can see her influence in a lot of those older books. Also, just she was really nice, and she was funny. She was like a practical joker, and she never really fit in with the boys club. From what I read, she would go out to lunches and movies every now and again, but she was never really accepted as one of the guys. And especially in the, I don't know, was it 1950s she got started or 1940s? Just being a Catholic woman.
I was about to say, she's a good Catholic girl. She ain't going to be partying.
Yeah, in this, just in this comic community, it must have been hard for her, but she just flourished because of how hard she worked.
And it's funny because listening to some interviews, she always, because people ask that about, ask that situation, and she always just blows it off because she's like, I wasn't competing with anybody. I'm not taking Wally Wood's gig.
Right.
I'm doing basically kind of the overflow work, which was coloring it.
She's trying to freaking make a name for herself.
Yeah.
She's working hard. Wally Wood, whipping his dick out left
then,
and
like,
right.
and
Jack
she-
Kirby's mooning people.
And she's smart because she could navigate these kind of treacherous waters. Because, you know, I was listening to her interviews. Like, I never made a big deal. If someone didn't want me to color their stuff,
Yep.
go for it. You know,
Yeah.
if someone wanted to pencil the book I was penciling, hey, it's not worth it. I got other stuff I can.
That's so.
You know, so she's very.
That's
like,
so New York.
Yeah,
And she-
forget
she's-
about it.
And she's got like, and I'm glad you brought up, like, you know, she wasn't in this, she didn't start out in the industry at that, at least, with like these whimsical goals, you know.
It's a job.
It was a job.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a lot of like, when we did our spotlight on Will Eisner,
Mhm.
how, for him it was, and a lot of these
For
other
everyone,
artists, a lot of these
back in
artists
the
at
day.
times in the 50s and 40s, for them it was a means to an end. I need to feed my family. I need to get paid.
Yeah.
I happen to be really good at art and I like doing it. I'm gonna do these comic books. You know, they don't mean nothing. They don't mean nothing more or less, I think. And I think that was kind of her mentality going in, was I want to do art, and you know, my brother was able to like hook me up with a cool job. So I like that hustler mentality of hers. And then, you know, kind of speaking about like the odds that were kind of against her, you know, aside just from being, you know, a woman in comics, which wasn't, you know, a mainstream thing or a thing, I think, at that time, but we're also talking about like, you know, the 60s and 70s and 50s, where it's already a business that's not known for giving credit. So I think you kind of got to look at her in a certain light and her accomplishments, because she managed to make a name for herself.
That combined with you didn't have people needing that credit, that justification, you know.
or thinking about it. I
Yeah,
think,
they're one
too.
thing. It's like, I need to work. You know, this is a gig. I'm working. I don't need the spotlight. I don't need this. You know, it's just a different mindset in the business.
Yeah. See, as an artist who has sung like endless admiration for EC Comics, and hell, I mean, you were inspired to do one in your own style when we did our Straight Chillin' live event. You did the event poster based in that style. What can you say about Marie Severin's contribution to EC Comics and then a horror comic genre?
So I feel like she was surrounded by a bunch of guys that were ridiculously talented. And like Ed said, like she kind of had this sort of like, hey, you know, you don't want to work with me, we're good. You don't have to work with me, whatever. But I feel like also at the same time, she's like, I'm going to learn from your ass. Like, ooh, I like that. Ooh,
Yeah.
I like this. I like this. And like incorporate it into her style. And if you look at some of the stuff that she did for Marvel, you could tell she did a tour at EC, definitely. Specifically, Captain America 115. I think that's the one I showed you where it's Red Skull holding the cosmic
cube,
cube,
yeah.
right?
That was one of the covers I was going to talk
It's
about.
just like, what the fuck? Are you serious right now? All right. Hopefully, I won't hit on one that you're going to talk
you're good.
about. Namor, the Submariner, number 19. Is that
Nice.
on your list?
No, but that's
Okay. That is one where basically her style is definitely indicative of working at EC. So if you're drawing horror comic books or even just coloring,
Mhm.
you better know your fundamentals. You better know how to convey detail. You better know how to get your textures down. And if you're basically drawing things that have gore and they drip and they're slimy, it's going to show. And it 100% shows in that Submariner. Now, is somebody dying on the cover? No. Does somebody have an axe in their head? No. But there are things going on there, specifically like the way the water is drawn,
Yeah.
that 100% you could say, oh, Al Feldstein drew that from,
work with,
Tales
like,
from the
Jack
Crypt.
Davis and Wally Wood, and
Right.
not learn that.
How do you, exactly. So it's interesting to see how her cover art like pops
Mhm.
compared to the House of Ideas regulars that were working there.
And it's always usually an action scene
Yep.
or in the midst of action. There's
Yep.
a lot of movement.
And I feel like, and maybe you guys can speak to this based on the evolution of her style. When she first started doing stuff for Marvel, it was kind of flat,
Mhm.
no foreshortening the way the EC comics were, right? And then it's like somebody was like, I don't know who, maybe, because the House of Ideas is always kind of like, we have a style.
Mhm.
And you could see she started doing more foreshortening, like Kirby style
Oh, yeah.
foreshortening, like a hand is ginormous and huge
Mhm.
coming at you and stuff. It's interesting, like it kind of changes.
There's a video of her like doing like a quick Hulk drawing. And it's
Yeah, I
like,
saw
She
that.
starts with like the fist coming out first,
Oh, that's
like
cool.
towards
Right.
you. It's like,
Right.
you got to have someone punching somebody here. And
Sure.
action.
And I'm glad to see you shared a few of those like titles and credits, because that was kind of that was a little difficult during my research, was because she wore so many different hats. Pencils,
what's
coloring,
really her art,
exactly,
and what she's
inking.
touching up, or what she's
exactly. It and a lot of those older books only credit, if they credit, the names at that. They don't go into details like, oh, they did the pencils, they did the ink, they did the colors. Ed, I wanted to go to you because Marie Severin was a professional who has worn many hats. Actually, has worn more hats than I think most comic professionals do in a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
In that New York Times article that I shared with you, they ended up calling her a multifaceted artist whose hand drew most of the greatest heroes in the Marvel Comics pantheon. I was curious, did you end up finding any interesting anecdotes or stories? Do you have any favorite ones that you already knew about?
As far as like a funny story, there was a practical joke, because she, like Ashley said earlier, she was kind of like a joker. She would make kind of these sometimes obscene caricatures of people that worked in the office and stuff.
Awesome.
And there was like an Al Williamson prank they did where I didn't know this existed, but disappearing ink. Like, so he comes in with his pages, and she would say he's very meticulous and he babies his work a lot. And then
checks out.
he comes in with his new stuff, and she goes, "Uh-oh." And then she throws like this invisible ink that shows up as ink. And she said, yeah, everybody wore white dress shirts back then. So he was like, wow, my child, what did you do? And he's like freaking out. And she would, pull these ribs on the guy. It's like a boys club. You got to have to
Tough skin.
play the game. Yeah. And then like I said, one of the coolest things that she did, and it's very smart on her part to kind of put herself in this position, because it's a lot harder, especially being a woman in this kind of this bullpen in this era and this time. She's got to navigate those waters. So she became like this intermediate from Stan Lee, when Stan Lee started, moving to California and started kind of, do the Hollywood thing and do, more things on his own, or branch Marvel out as well. She became the intermediate. She would like sketch out a lot of these covers. She would make these thumbnails. I actually found a few online. They're actually really nice. She would do these like, mock-up covers, and then she would basically have access to all the stories. So it's like, okay, this is what the story's about. And she would come up with the cover ideas and then give them to the artists, and then have like with the logo placement and then what Stan Lee wanted to do to cut out kind of where Stan didn't have to talk with every artist all the time about everything. So she came up with that, and she's very, just listening to some interviews and reading interviews, she's very like humble and like, what is what I was doing, whatever. What are you gonna do?
You posted I think you posted a picture of her on our Instagram story, and she's holding what a little pistol and then a cigarette in the other hand.
That was I found that this morning. I had to grab that, but she would even say like, did the artist, and I would basically do these thumbnails and turn them over to the artist, and she said, what, is Kirby going to draw exactly what I'm going to do? Because the interviewer was like, so you drew like Fantastic Four? He's like, whoa. Mm-hmm. I came up with the cover ideas, and then I gave it to them, and then they would put their spin on it. So I'm not going to say I did Kirby's, Kirby's going to do what he's going to do. I just kind of gave everybody a direction that cut out a lot of the communication, so, because, between, instead of having an artist draw something, send it to Stan, and it's like, I don't know, True Believer. I don't like this. How about make this bigger?
I can't take credit for something that's terrible.
So she could be that intermediary. So Stan can do his thing. And then this was before like they had a million editors coming in. So yeah, that was just like a cool. And then I was seeing an interview, I think in the late 70s, and she was basically, they referred to her as like the art director. And that's exactly what that title is.
For
so
sure.
In the late 70s. And then another cool thing is in the 80s to maybe the 90s, she went from the comics, and then she went to the merchandising thing. So I know she had a hand in like the Secret Wars, toys and storyline too. So she was branching out into like the merchandising part of Marvel. So she worked in pretty much every aspect in that company.
She had a really dynamic range.
Yeah.
I mean, from like,
and that's what you do to kind of survive in that environment. You gotta like a shark, you can't stay still. You gotta keep moving.
You gotta punch Bill Everett in the gooch every now and then.
It's like no matter what position she found herself in, whether it be colorist, artist, or even like you were mentioning, like that art director role, like she appears as someone that like learned the job inside and out.
Yeah.
Like if anything, she was going to do
And
her
that's-
job really fucking
And that's
well.
the thing that why she stayed with Marvel and pretty much stuck with Marvel. It was kind of like a lifer there
Mhm.
because it's like every
40
day I
plus
come
years.
in,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like people, ask me why I didn't do more freelance stuff. Well, she did some freelance stuff, but why she didn't go freelance or go, it's like she never, it's like, this is perfect for me. Every day is something different. I can
Mhm.
come in, I'm doing this one day, I'm doing pencils one day, I'm
Plus-
doing a cover.
Yeah. Why would she leave the place that she built?
Yeah.
Well
you know what I
said.
mean?
She's in the
Damn,
foundation.
Like, that's her house. Like,
Yeah.
she made it. Like, that's like asking somebody to be like, oh, well, you built this whole thing and, well, you want to sell it so somebody else can live here? It's like, no, she established a lot of things that were
put
staples.
too much time, like sweat, blood, sweat, and tears in
Right.
that to leave. For
Right.
Sure.
She I don't know if you guys read I posted a link to this interview she did for a site called Sequential Tart, and the interviewer had asked her about like her favorite project she worked on, and she spoke really highly of like her time in EC, but she said her favorite project that she worked on was one that she did with her brother John Severin on the series Kull the Conqueror.
Oh, that stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I think she did the pencil and he did the inking, and they might have swapped,
Yeah.
different duties or whatnot. But she speaks about her family in such, in such high regard, man. It's so nice to like kind of read like her family's influence
Wasn't
and impact on
dysfunctional
her.
and crazy and
Not at all,
horrible,
right?
horrible childhood. Fought her
But she
mustache.
says, I glossed over. I was like, happiness. Never mind.
Boo.
Do I bring it up on the show?
You're like Irish Catholics that don't fight. Nah.
Boring.
But she was
good.
saying, being able to work with her brother on Kull the Conqueror, mainly because she really wanted to see her brother ink her stuff, because she had always inked his stuff, colored his stuff, and vice versa. She thought it was like a cool bonding experience to like have that role. But even like her talking about her dad is really endearing, man. Like she talks about him being, an artist himself.
Yeah.
Taught her how to draw. It was like a bonding thing between her and her brother.
I
and
saw
father.
one of his in his interview. She showed the interviewer one of her dad's paintings, like or two of them. One of her and one of like it's kind of like this almost Renaissance style, medieval style painting. So he's classically trained. And I know he did a lot of like I think her dad and mom did a lot of stuff in fashion design.
Right.
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit more about her role as chief colorist, both at EC and Marvel. But first, I want to go on a quick commercial break because we got bills to pay. So stay tuned. Hey, Shortbox Nation. Sorry for the interruption, but we want to talk about one of our favorite comic shops that happens to be a proud sponsor of this here podcast.
You talking about Gotham City Limits?
Whoa, Batman, what are you doing here?
It's just me, Potter at sea. I've got laryngitis. But you know what doesn't have laryngitis? Jacksonville's premier location for comic books, collectibles, toys, and more.
Oh, and don't forget, Pool customers get 10% off their comics.
Shut up, I'm talking now, punk. Gotham City Limits offers free bags and boards.
And 20% off trades and hardcovers.
I don't need a Robin for this ad spot.
But Batman, you're forgetting about the most important part about Gotham City Limit. It's a comic shop welcome to everyone, for the diehard collectors and the new fans.
I told you I'm not Batman. But have Alfred get the car ready. I'm rich, so it's on me. We're going to Gotham City Limits to spend some money on comics.
Marie Severin held the role of chief colorist, I think, both at EC and Marvel. And she credited her success in part to learning the whole printing process inside and out. And I think specifically for like EC, she talked about like, learning what the printers were capable of, like what colors the color range and what they could do.
Imagine having to deal with that.
Exactly. And I wanted to hear from you. Could you like maybe explain why or how that knowledge would contribute to her like being the role, having that role of chief colorist? Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that Gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can. And don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
From what I could kind of grasp from like what I was reading was when she started, they were past those Ben Day dots.
Yeah.
They were doing the coloring where you have a photocopied page, an inked page photocopied, and you took the Dr. Martin dyes, and she said she had a range of 48, and she would like sometimes layer them, and she got really good at color theory, and she knew how she said sometimes she would get a page where the artist just did way too much on it. It was just so crammed with detail, and she would go in and do complementary colors to kind of pull your eye where it needed to go, pull it to all the important stuff. And so you would give that, when you were done, you'd give that photocopied page to the printer. You'd have codes for what color goes where. And the thing that she said she did that most people didn't do was she would proof it. When they were done, most people would just hand it off and just be like, good luck, here you go. Let's see how it turns out.
Yeah.
But she would take that extra step and go in and proof what they were doing, which I think just kind of, I mean, it fits for her. Like, she just worked so hard and tried so hard, just that she did that extra step to make sure that everything looked great before it came out. Just really says a lot about her.
Yeah, and this is before like even pre-Xerox and things like that. So you're basically getting what they called like a silver print, or like a, you know, like a photographic print of what you made. Because did you ever take any of the classes with the traditional printing presses?
I did one, but it wasn't color.
Yeah, we didn't do color, but we had the wall-mounted camera.
Yeah,
that you put it on the metal plate, and it went into the, you know, those rotating printing presses. That's insane to have to. Now you can just put it on the computer and then send a PDF.
Yeah.
No, but I couldn't imagine having to take that into account. Not only doing, and I read somewhere where I don't know if it was Bill Gaines when she did a sample thing, and he's like, she didn't make the moon yellow. So, you get it. Everyone makes the moon yellow. And but yeah, and then having her live through just the evolution of printing from, you know, that traditional printing to even Xerox, Canadian Xeroxes, to like even, you know, mailing pages back and forth. We didn't have like FedEx back then, you know, so just seeing her and that whole technique, that whole, you know, part of comics just evolve up to, you know, modern things, and her keeping up with it and evolving as well.
See, I couldn't find anything that spoke about that, if she dabbled in like computer coloring. Is that known at all?
I mean, I don't know. She worked up until, you know, I mean, computer coloring was definitely around when she was still working, but I haven't.
That was probably mid-90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think she left Marvel mid-90s, did a little bit of freelance work, like went to, you know, was doing the convention circuit. I don't know what other bodies of work she had after that point, but I do know in that Sequential Tart interview, they do bring up digital coloring and her thoughts on it. And, you know, as classy a lady as she is, she had nothing but positive things to say. And I think she, because she gave credit to like Laura Martin. She was like, Laura Martin is fantastic. So clearly she was probably still keeping up with, you know, comic creators and things like that. And Ed, to your point, I wouldn't be surprised if she had dabbled in computer coloring.
How could you not? You know, if you've been in that industry your whole life, since 21, 22.
Yeah. And I think as someone who knew the insides and out of, you know, of printing and things like that, that I think she would, and I mean, she even says it, that she appreciates that, you know, technology advanced, and it offered, you know, the artist the ability to kind of like not be so entrenched in it, you know?
They're not limited by the process. And
exactly.
Yeah, even like kind of sidestep to that, she was talking about like, what does she like? What kind of artist, what's the new artists you like? And it's like, you can't really judge by what I like or what you like. You can't run a company like that, because what you like may not sell. So there's like, and she didn't name any artists. I wish she did, but it's like, I'm not going to name any artists, but I wouldn't hang their stuff in my house. But the kids like it, our audience likes it. We're going to go with it. And then, you know, new artists will get influences from them. It's like, it may not be my cup of tea, but you know, you can't run a company. You can't run this just based on your own personal taste, you know? So that's another just very, you know, business savvy part of her career.
Well said. And see, you kind of touched on a little bit of this as far as like the traits and nuances of Severin's work. But if you don't mind going a little deeper, I wanted to know like what other tropes of hers makes her unique, makes her art style like stand out on its own.
I would say the biggest thing that makes her unique is her versatility. That's the biggest thing. I mean, if you needed horror, she could do horror. If you needed some sort of caricature, she could do that too. I mean, I think comic historian Mark Evanier said that you really didn't work at Marvel until Marie Severin drew an insulting caricature of you and pinned it up, and people treasured them. You know, like she brought a lot of the. She's kind of like a strong infielder, to use a baseball term, right? Like she knew how to basically clean up everybody else's stuff, right? I mean, look, she's got the mom haircut already.
Oh yeah,
you know, out the gate
since
she had
was
the
20,
mom.
she had the mom bob cut.
She had the mom do,
Yeah.
and in a
Whole
bunch
life.
of messy boys, she was just like, Jesus Christ. All I think of is the Patton Oswalt skit where it was like women basically are responsible for creation and totally taking the mess that is a man and saying, I guess I can work with this shit, and then creating life. And it's I mean, I'm being glib, but at the same time, there's something to be said about her going in and suggesting to Jack King Kirby, hey, what do you think of this? Jack puffs on a cigar, looks at it, maybe doesn't say anything. Maybe says, good job, kid. Don't know. But it doesn't fall on deaf ears. And he maybe does his own spin on it, right?
Yeah.
So there's something like crazy for someone to just roll up in there and just be like, what do you need? You need something that drips
Zero
and is
intimidation
and gross?
Yeah.
I got you. Hey, the new guy working here, he's cool. You want me to draw a caricature of him, doing something lewd? I got you. You know, like she could do
she's a chameleon.
so much. Yeah. And like most chameleons, you don't see them, right? So a lot of the times, a lot of the work she did really didn't get seen, right? And it's kind of why we're doing this episode, right? Literally a spotlight.
She reminds me a lot of just artistically, because I think I classify like Wally Wood like that, where he's just like a jack of all trades. Yeah. But she's like Wally Wood without all the demons.
Sure.
And all the personal demons. So it's like, I don't know if she got that from, I'm sure she learned that from, because that group of EC, small as it was, what a dynamic group of artists.
Dude, yeah.
And you can see like elements of a lot of those artists from like Krigstein to Wood to Jack Davis. You
Kurtzman,
can see, and you can see, Kurtzman as well. You can see like those influences on, her stuff for sure. There was a lot of inspiration there. I know she speaks very highly of it because basically if, the government didn't shut them down, who knows? She'd probably be a lifelong EC artist.
Oh, for sure.
Because, she was, and it's funny because the way she described it, because people were like, what did you think, being a girl doing all that gross stuff, and she's like, this is funny. This is like, we're not a bunch of sadistic, assholes working here. I'm cursing for her. I'm sorry. But we're not, this wasn't done to be sadistic or, weird. It was just, it became so bizarre that it turned around to being funny. It just became so bizarre and over the top that it was just kind of like black humor for us.
Sure. You commit so hard to the exploitation that it becomes humorous.
When you look at, her catalog and bodies of work, I mean, I think her name should be synonymous with like, not just some of the greats that we mentioned from EC, but when you look at like Marvel in those 60s and 70s, which was, at its heyday, it was at the top of the game, but she was right there working alongside some of the greats that, we give plenty of respect to, like Jim Steranko. She was right there with him on Strange Tales. I think she was the follow-up artist after Ditko left Doctor Strange. She was brought in to go and handle that.
It's funny because she's like, they asked her about how she started penciling. It's like, I just thought they just had me do it because Ditko quit. And she said it was fun because like, you could draw. And she used this literal like phrase. It's like, I like drawing Doctor Strange because you could do all this like, they left me alone. I could draw all this weird garbage in the background, like all these weird shapes and stuff. It was awesome. It's like weird garbage.
and not just talking about like her artistic contributions to like Marvel, but she was also like co-plotting stories like alongside like Stan Lee, Roy Thomas, like helping co-create some of the characters we brought up, like the Living Tribunal, Spider-Woman's costume, and then talking about like that range as well, you know, from like horror stuff to superhero stuff to the caricature stuff that they had.
Muppet Babies.
Dude,
which Star Comics stuff. Yeah.
Yes. But also that merchandising too, because even after when EC shut down, you know, she did have like kind of a period of freelance work.
Yeah.
She ended up working for like the Federal Reserve, you know. So I think, you know, all that training and just work compounded.
This is like how far she goes back. She did a comic explaining what routing numbers were on checks.
Yes. Yeah.
Because people were thinking there was some
She
kind
could
of
do it all,
secret
man.
code that told your information, you know, some communist code.
Yeah.
So she made like a comic explaining what a routing number was. Like, that's crazy.
If you could make a, you know, like a Marie Severin for Dummies book, what are some noteworthy bodies of work of hers that you would personally include, whether they be, you know, covers or pages or coloring jobs? What do you think would belong in this book?
Like I said, we're just echoing that Captain America cover you mentioned earlier.
Oh, dude.
There's a really awesome, amazing Spider-Man 82 with like Electro and Spider-Man fighting in this kind of like TV studio, like up in the top part of the lights and stuff. It's really cool. Like, I can show you guys some pictures and we'll post them.
Yeah, please, for sure.
Oh,
Instagram
wow.
as
That's
well.
good. That is cool.
Yeah, like, because she has such a variety. As far as like something a little more, I guess, recent, she did I think the second volume of Batman Black and White. She does a
Right.
story in like grayscale, like black and white grayscale.
She's
Wa-
so good at
watercolor.
drawing crowds, too.
She's good at crowds. And like I said, you can go from like Submariner, Doctor Strange, then you go to like the I got the black and white too. I have to show you that to you.
Sweet.
To Cull, I think, you know, it's just so much variety. You gotta, and I think if I had to like choose what her favorite was, I think that kind of Mad Magazine,
Not
like
Brand
Mort,
Eck?
yeah, that
Yeah.
Brand Eck, that Mort Drucker, Jack Davis kind
There
of
you go.
style. You know, I don't know if because they're pretty much the same age. They're kind of they're contemporaries. So I don't know if they ever met or ever, because you can see that influence too on her, like, you know, cartoony, parody stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Eck stuff, like the covers. Oh man, there's like a ROM cover she did, which is really cool.
Nice.
And she called. There was like an interview I saw where they were just showing her covers, and she was talking, you know, just randomly, and she'd like explain. It's like, oh, Rom, that's the toaster guy. Yeah, he's a toaster. He's like a toy
Oh, wait, you said she did a cover for Rom.
for Rom. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the variety, just looking at her stuff, it's like from Muppet Babies to Submariner to like she did Toxic Crusaders, that crazy Toxic Avenger for kids,
Right. Yeah.
NC-17
Dude.
movie for kids.
Right.
So weird.
And I hope this, you know, like this research was enlightening for me because all I really knew her from was the Mad Magazine Marvel kind of parody comic, not Brand Eck.
Eck.
Sorry. So it was fun, like learning more about like some of the other house style things that she had done.
And if
But
if you like if you like that EC stuff, just some of like I think she did some Tomb of Dracula covers too. So some classic. Her work goes from kid stuff to horror. It's everything in between. Pretty much every genre is covered: science fiction, westerns,
Romance.
For sure.
romance. She's done it all.
And I'm glad you brought up the Muppet Babies stuff because I didn't know that Marvel had a that kids comic imprint
Yeah,
even
it's
back
in
in
the
the
80s.
mid '80s. It was called Star Comics,
Yep.
and she did. I don't know about the interior work. I know for sure cover. I wouldn't be surprised if she did the interior, but her covers for Muppet Babies and Fraggle Rock. She did a Fraggle Rock
and
series.
Ewoks, yeah.
Is fantastic. It is so clean.
And you wouldn't say, "Oh, that's Maurice." You know, you wouldn't say,
No,
that's
not at
her,
all.
You know,
Not at all. You would think like an artist from those properties,
Yeah, the cartoon.
had
Yeah.
a hand in it. It's fantastic stuff. Actually, did you guys have anything to add to this Marie Severance for Dummies book? Any notable work?
I mean, just her likenesses, and you can kind of find that
Oh,
in
the
a lot of
caricatures?
stuff. Those like those Marvel, was it just
Bullpen?
called spoof comics?
Yeah. Like the parody?
Yeah, the parody, just like the covers.
Oh, they did a Crazy. That was kind of like their Mad Magazine.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
wow.
it is. Like all her covers with like all those likenesses were, I don't know, they were just so good.
Oh, and there's a cover. Marvel did their own fan magazine because, of course, they did.
Of course they did.
But Steranka started it, so that's kind of cool. But they did a quarterly magazine. She
right?
did Foom.
Friends
she did
of
this
Marvel?
and I'll show it to you guys. I'll post it. But she did this double fold over cover with like the Marvel cubicle. And then Foom is Friends of Old Marvel.
There
is
we
what
go.
it stands
Right.
That's
for.
what it was.
So she did it's this black or yellow and black. It's like a 2-color cover, but it's a front and back cover of like the Marvel offices with like a bunch of people. So it's another
Cool.
awesome crowd shot.
Yeah, she did a lot of like the bullpen illustrations
Yeah.
too. So I
And
mean,
there's that
I've
EC with the
Yep.
EC, all the guys from EC in
Yeah.
one table. That's pretty cool. Too.
killed it at
yeah.
character artwork, man.
Yeah, she does great caricatures.
I'll go ahead and add 2 bodies of work, more so from a informational perspective. There was a book that came out about Marie Severin. It's called Marie Severin, The Mirthful Mistress of Comics. It came out in 2012. It's by Dewey Kessel and Aaron Sultan, published by Tomorrow's, which is a great publishing line that focuses on like comic journalism. So if you can get a hold of that Marie Severin, The Mirthful Mistress of Comics, that'd be a great introduction to everything and, you know, even deeper catalog of hers. And then I will go ahead and champion that excellent interview with her conducted by Catherine Keller called The Chromatic Queen. It's on Sequential Tart's website. Highly recommend that.
Yeah, there's one like an interview like in I guess towards the end of her life, like in her apartment or house or whatever. But it's just like seeing. She's very funny. She's still very sharp, very funny. Had like some really good stories. It's like a 3-part. It's only maybe 15 minutes.
It's on
but
YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
You could just type Marie Severin interview. Only like 3 things come up. It's not a lot of stuff out there, and it's all, you know, that's the newest interview I've seen her like in person. But it's like a sweet grandma, New York grandma, and like even at the end, I was telling you earlier about her. It's like she's like, "Oh, thank you. I'm just flattered you guys were interested in talking to me." It's like, "Hey, do you want some candy? Like, I got some candy here." Like sweet grandma.
Damn.
And then
that's cool.
one of the other questions that's where I heard the like, "Oh, I got Doctor Strange because Ditko quit," and then she's like, and the guy was like, "Man, I really like your Doctor Strange. It's really good." It's like, "Did you like my Hulk? Did you like my Hulk?"
That's awesome.
It's
I'll
like,
bust out the
"Oh yeah,
pistol
you're
if
Hulk."
you say
It's
something
like,
I don't like.
"Oh, what about my Hulk? Did you like my Hulk?" Like just stopped him and just like, "Oh yeah, your Hulk was great." It's like, I love the Hulk too. I wish it could have been more violent, but you know, and it's funny because it's like, you know, women, you know, feel that way too. It's not just guys
Right.
that feel that.
That's
you know.
Well, with that, I guess being said, I do want to share. I think she did a cover for Incredible Hulk 105. I don't know if she did the inking or coloring. Once again, kind of a little hard to hone in on, but she did it alongside
She did
Frank.
the penciling.
Okay, penciling. Okay, because
Yeah.
they credited Marie Severin and then Frank Giacoba. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but it's from 1968, Hulk
Yeah.
105.
And if you like Immortal Hulk, like I do, they tributed that cover in the very first issue of Immortal Hulk. It's a tribute to Marie.
did.
yeah.
Oh my
It's
God.
a tribute
That's
to
right.
Marie
Good
Severin.
catch.
That's cool.
That's good. That's a good one. Okay, perfect. Well, look, I think we've said our fair share on the topic of the late, great Marie Severin. I'd like to go ahead and come to a close right here and offer our listeners in the Shortbox Nation a chance to chime in and let us know, you know, their favorite contribution by Marie Severin, whether that be a comic she's worked on or maybe highlight a contribution that we might have missed. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Send us something short and sweet to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. We'll definitely take some time to read it next episode. Before we go on break, I wanted to go ahead and end this first half of the show spotlighting some new comics we all picked up this week. It's time for No Comic Shop for Old Men.
No comic shop for old men.
No Comic Shop for Old Men is brought to you by Gotham City Limit, Jacksonville's premier place for comics, toys, collectibles, and more. If you live in the area, if you ever find yourself passing through Jacksonville, stop by the shop on Southside Boulevard and tell them the Shortbox sent you. Hell, they'll probably have some of, if not all of the comics we highlight in this segment. Let's go and start off with C. I want to hear C. What's the new comic book that you're spotlighting this week?
Nothing new, man. Immortal Hulk. It's always going to be Immortal Hulk. It's all I got time for, and it's always consistently good.
What's the latest? What's the latest issue it's on?
46.
Damn, it's coming to an end here soon.
Stop it. Better shut your mouth.
It's the truth. You can't hide from it. All right, so we got Immortal Hulk. Ed, what you got? What you picked up?
Is there a
this week?
limit how many times we can do the
Not
same
at all.
title? No? Okay. Well, the rules. So that's the rule? Okay.
Yeah, you can do whatever you like. It's new. No comic shop for old men. Outback Steakhouse. Just right.
That'd be a great sponsorship.
Oh, we need a spot. Yeah.
That'd be a great sponsorship.
Free blooming
When
onion.
Yeah,
last-
so as soon as we come in, there's a blooming onion in here.
I'm like, guys, they paid us some blooming onions.
You know you only eat like the third of it and get sick.
Yeah, Butter's
You know,
like, Ashley, get some of that
Especially at
Remulade
the
sauce.
bottom where it's all onion. Blech.
Oh god.
Ugh.
You're like,
You just eat
well,
the crispy tops.
Yeah, just give
how
me
much,
leave, like,
how much
the
did they
rest of
give
it.
you? They gave me 50 blooming onions all at once in the front.
Gross.
That'd be a shit.
You're like on the front end.
Yeah.
Steal.
It's a 5-year deal.
Yet
Oh,
again,
God damn it.
proving that
We
you
gotta
are
work our way
Krusty
up
the
to
Clown. One more time.
If we do good, we can get some steaks, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
You guys all get a free blooming onion.
Let's put a pin in it, only because I don't want no one stealing our great idea for the sponsorship. Ed, what new comic did you pick up today?
I'm going to champion another kaiju-inspired title that came out this week called Jenny Zero by Dark Horse. I don't know if it's just because we did Jupiter's Legacy, but it has kind of the same start of the child of a kind of famous, kaiju superhero. And she was in the military, but now she's kind of like the party girl and living off one of her friends kind of is a...
Sounds like my life.
yeah, kind of like a Paris Hilton type. And so she's just getting drunk and partying all the time.
That's hot.
And then, she gets the call back to come back to the squad, which is called the Action Science Police, which is a total nod to Ultraman.
Yeah, right.
It's like they get her back because the monsters that were being contained are breaching the American shores. They were contained in Japan, but now they're breaching California and they need her help. And it has a cool little cliffhanger at the end. It's done, written by Dave Dwanch. I think that's how you say his name. Brock McKinney. They're both the writers. Magenta King, for sure real name, is doing the art. Megan Wong is doing the color. And like I said, it's a kind of like the style's almost like a Brandon Graham, almost like a Stocco-ish type artwork. So it's
okay.
very loose, cartoony.
Okay.
Really fun read. Like I said, it's kind of a simple setup, but like I said, I'm all about this new kind of kaiju, trend that's going on. So it's a fun first issue. I'll check it out, see how I like it. But yeah, Jenny Zero by Dark Horse.
Ashley, what'd you pick up this week?
So I hadn't been there in about 3 weeks, so I got a big old stack. My pick so far from what I've read is Deadly Class 45. I think it came out last week.
Yeah, it's new.
Sold out. Had no luck getting
Pretty
it.
new. Really?
Like a chump. I didn't put it on my poll.
Oh, you didn't put it
Like
on
a
your
chump.
pull
Hey,
list?
like a
Rookie move.
I know.
So
You just got an ash whooping.
Ash whooping.
No need to go ahead and do those fake air horns
no.
when we've got the real deal. I got that ass whooping.
So it's yeah.
You guys exhaust me.
Ashley is the Marie Severin of our group. That's it.
Dirty boys. Ugh.
New storyline. We're in the 90s now, and I think the best thing about Rick Remender is that he's been doing this book for almost 10 years, or it feels like a long time.
Mhm.
And he just consistently can make you care about this character who's not really a good person. But he just keeps putting him in situations, and just over all these years makes you actually still care about this main character. And then kills off people, brings in new people, makes you care about him right before he kills them off. It's just been consistently good. Like, he has not let me down with a story arc yet.
Oh.
Do you remember, try to guess what year Deadly Class number 1 came out? I just looked it up and I'm like, what the fuck?
So my guess is 2012,
That's
just
what I
because
was
it feels good.
That's a really good guess. And I can see why you'd say that, because I think Saga came out that same year. 2014. Not too-
2014?
yeah, not too far.
Yeah.
That's close.
Well said.
Isn't the show coming back?
No, that shit's dead. That shit is
what's on
buried
the
so
back of
deep.
It's been
I
on.
don't think
Well,
so. I don't know.
It's been on Netflix, and it's doing really,
okay.
really well in other countries.
Oh, they're doing like a petition.
Yeah,
for it,
like
right?
the United States is kind of like, we didn't like it that much, but like Germany's like really into it.
Yeah, go figure.
Yes, and it's the beginning of a new story arc. So
jump on.
I'm not saying you can just pick it up and start there, but if you don't remember, just I don't know, just read it.
Just 8 trades you
Just
can
read
get.
them all.
It's
Just
fun.
start
Read 'em all.
it. Yeah,
Read
just
'em
read them all.
Word. Okay. My new comic this week is The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. It's published by Boom Studios. It's an original series written by Ram V, who's doing really good work on the Swamp Thing series. I think he also wrote on Justice League Dark, if I'm not mistaken. But it's drawn by Philippe Andrade. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Maybe not. And I would definitely want to highlight the colors, because the colors in this book are fantastic. It's by Inez Amaro. Number 1 sold out before release. It's already on its 3rd printing.
Wow.
I think issue 2 comes out May 19th, if I'm not mistaken. It's essentially the story of humanity on the verge of discovering immortality. So the Avatar of Death is fired. She is now relegated to the world below to live out her now finite days in the body of a 20-something-year-old called Layla Starr in Mumbai. She does hatch a plan to be placed at the time and location where the creator of immortality will be born, so that way she can kill him and keep her job. Of course, that plan backfires, and that's where the story picks up. I'll say if you like Hickman, if you like, specifically his East to West stuff, where there's a lot of like personification of like larger intangible forces, or if you enjoy like the philosophies and the stories contained in like Hinduism, then I think this is something that you'd be fascinated by. It was a super impressive number 1, and it's put Ram V on my radar. Hopefully it's not Ram 5 or something like that. But
Ram 5.
Ram V, he's on my radar. I think he's going to continue doing
like Ultron?
Really great stuff.
I'm just happy that you're reading. Look, dude, you're finally maturing.
Boom.
Nothing but
Of
Boom
all
Studios, dude.
Wow.
You're like a beer and a back rub away from putting Ben Gay on your knees and taking heart medicine. I love it.
I'm already halfway there. The knees ain't what they used to be.
I love it.
So that's what I got this week. And we got 2 more things to do to wrap up this segment.
Okay.
One is to declare a winner of this week's No Comic Shop for Old Men.
Here we go.
And instead of doing our chaotic, whatever the fuck we do, we've been doing these last few.
Yeah, don't agree.
I decided I would take a page from the Wheel of Fortune and create our own roulette-style wheel, virtual in this case, to help us determine who won the segment, who gets to be crowned the new comic king or queen. I call it the Wheel of Comics, and instead of labels of dollar amounts, I've listed some categories that I think are applicable to new comics. So some of them favor new number 1s, comics from outside the big 3, and some other random categories and labels for good measure, so Cesar doesn't feel completely left out. Ashley, you're going to see me spin this wheel, so that way I'm held accountable. All right, and here we go.
Spinning the wheel.
And the winner of No Comic Shop for Old Men is who? What's the category? Yo, everyone wins!
Whoa!
Hey! Yeah,
Nice.
Don't that feel good? See?
No, that was stupid.
Yeah.
All right.
Look, we let the odds take us, and everyone won.
When did you get that little wheel?
Wheelofnames.com. Shout outs. You'll sponsor us.
Yeah.
So, but on to the good stuff to close us out. As I said, this segment is sponsored by Gotham City Limit. And every week we ask the owner, Ben Kingsbury, to go ahead and recommend 3 comic books that our listeners and the rest of the Short Box Nation should consider putting on their pull list, or at least having their comic shop order them before the final order cutoff. This one is May 17th. So these next 3 comics I'm about to share, go ahead and get them added to your pull if they pique your interest. The final order cutoff is May 17th. Don't be a chump like me and think that you can go into a comic shop and get the latest new number 1 or the hot book and not have it on your pull. It does not end well, I promise you. So these recommendations, once again, are brought to you by Ben Kingsbury over at Gotham City Limit. His first pick is DC Comics Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, number 1 of 8.
Cool.
Superstar writer Tom King brings you a Supergirl out for revenge. A Kryptonian, a dog, and an angry child head out into space on a journey that will shake them to their core. His second recommendation is 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, number 1. It's published by Image Comics. He writes, it's for fans of Chew. Comes a new action mystery series. How can you catch a murderer when almost everyone hated the victim? And then his last, but not least suggestion is Good Luck, number 1. It's a 5-issue miniseries from Boom Studios.
There you go, buddy.
I'm already interested.
Take your walker and go over there.
And he writes, what if luck was quantifiable and something everyone is born with? So if any of those sound interesting to you, so that's DC Comics, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, number 1, 6 Sidekicks of Trigger, Keaton, number 1, and then Good Luck, number 1. Consider going to your comic shop, having them put it on your pull list, or get an order in before May 17th. Big shout out to Ben and the good folks that got them. With that being said, Shortbox Nation, we're going to go on a quick music break. So this is the part that you get to relax. You can enjoy some music brought to you by Mecca the Marvelous. This week's instrumental is called Faces. So if you like it, I implore you to go and check out more music from Mecca the Marvelous on his Bandcamp, which is linked in the show notes. Don't press nothing. We'll be right back.
A blind man who sees more than we has pieces what he knows. So let me play a game or two.
Once again, that was music brought to you by Mecca, the Marvelous. If you enjoy that one, man, check out his Bandcamp for more music. We got a link to that in the show notes. Like we normally do, right after music break, we got some shout outs. We got some emails to go ahead and share. I'll get out the shout outs out the way first, and then I'll let C read the email we got from a listener. I want to go to give a shout out to Catherine Margaritas and David Morales, good friends of the show. I saw them at Coliseum of Comics comic show yesterday, which was pretty nice to like be back. I mean, it wasn't like a comic convention by any standard, but they
Baby
rented
steps.
out
Baby steps.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm already your boy's vaxxed up. So, you know, I walked in there pretty proud.
Coughing on everybody.
Peasants.
No, Potter's like licking people's drinks. Oh my God! Somebody call a priest.
No. Everyone was wearing masks and was doing a pretty good. You know, it was a well run show. So shout out to Coliseum Comics. Shout out to Catherine Margaritas and David Morales, who is rocking our new comic box logo shirts. I saw the shirt before I saw the face. I was like, damn, who are those good looking four faces on that shirt?
Yeah,
hey, what up, David?
Yeah, he's talking to you and you're not even looking at him.
Oh, it's just you? Oh, okay. My shirt, though.
You're like, he's like, yo, Bonner, I just wanted to tell you. And you're like, but you're only looking at the shirt version of your face.
You say.
You're like, oh, yeah, no, thanks, David. Yeah, no, that's really nice. Bonner, I'm up here. I'm up here. My eyes are up here.
Yeah, so shout outs to them. And I want to go ahead and welcome John Luna to the Patreon, to the Shortbox Elite. Welcome to being a Patreon subscriber. Yo, all of our Patreon subscribers, they're the Shortbox Elite. Not against anything against our regular
No, against
weekly...
them. Fucking, you better level up.
No, we
now.
love you. We love you. But I'm just saying...
I love you to level up.
I'll take that. He's getting so much better, man. I'm enjoying C's progress.
Give me your fucking money.
The weekly episodes are fantastic. They're at A+. But if you want the A++ material that we got...
No, man. Like, we already give them the A++ material. You just get more of it.
You know what?
You know what I'm saying? We get
volume.
more.
You're now in
money.
charge of the marketing for the Shortbox. Yeah. You're marketing director. That's good.
Sweet. All of it goes to me.
Oh, man. Wow.
I'm also human resources, so you can complain to my fucking butt.
Whoa.
I don't give a shit.
Button. I have something to say. Hello, Mr. Button.
Why, Mr. S?
Oh, your
nice
butt
to see you here.
Did you see how quick I turn heel? Quick.
Yeah,
Very
you learn
like
from the
that.
best. You learn from the
I don't
best.
think you've
I'm glad I
turned
did.
heel. I think you've been heel the whole time.
Ooh.
Wait, I thought I was the heel. I want to give one more shout out to Troy Jeffrey Allen, who was a guest.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, who was a guest on our show for episode, I think, 320, if I'm not mistaken. It was just recently. He works at Previews World. He is a content creator for Previews World, as well as an editor. He came on the show to talk about the perks of working at Previews, as well as a tribute comic book he had made for MF Doom alongside some fantastic artists. He was on our show talking about that. And even gave us the opportunity to return the favor. And he had me and Cesar on Previews World Weekly.
Hi, Troy.
Hey, Troy. I believe the episode's title, which you can find on the Previews World YouTube channel, is called, it's from May 5th. It's called, Well, That Was Aggressive. Well, we talked about the Invincible season finale.
We gave our top 5 picks.
We gave our top 5 comic picks. We also talked about the new MCU trailer. C also broke down his top 5 favorite wrestling theme songs. So, yeah, good conversation. Good time. So, shout outs to Troy. Shout outs to Ashton as well.
Oh, yeah.
His co-host Ashton.
Ashton.
Shout outs to Tommy. Was the name of their? Johnny, their editor.
Jesus
our
Christ,
producer.
I can't take you fucking anywhere.
It's been a Tecate Sunday.
Oh, my God.
So, shout outs to Previews World. You can check out me and C's cameo on their YouTube channel. We'll probably also be dropping the audio from that show. I got Troy's blessing to do so.
Yep.
Here in the next couple weeks. So
And we will continuously be dropping the ball on everything because this is a fucking drunk. Okay, give daddy a drinky.
with those shout outs out the way, see, I'd like to go ahead and turn to you and have you do the honors of reading our fan letter we got
I
today.
can do this by myself. Don't fucking. All right. Alcoholism is real, kids. Don't do it. Here's a email titled "Thanks," and it's from Brandon Bevel, and here it goes. Hello, crew of the Shortbox Podcast. It's Brandon. I wanted to tell you guys thank you. Now you're probably wondering why I'm saying quote thank you unquote, but I promise you there is a legitimate reason behind this. You guys have taught me a lot just from listening to your show. When I read comics, I look for who's writing rather than just picking up a comic because it's Batman or Wolverine. You've brought back many memories of mine of the old shows I used to watch as a kid, and even opened my eyes to pop culture. Let's just say I've learned a lot listening to you guys, and I wouldn't be the nerd I am today without your podcast. So thank you. No, man, thank you. This is why we do it. So that way, we can try and help anybody we can with our horrible knowledge and totally jack up everything. So he asked a question. He said, "What's your favorite comic book by Robert Kirkman?" Wow, that's a bit presumptuous. Since he's my favorite. No, I'm just messing with you, Brandon. I'll go first since I'm talking shit. I would say Outcast is mine.
That's a good one.
Outcast is probably my favorite. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Where are you guys at?
Not selecting Invincible, I'd probably say he had a really good run for at Marvel. It's
Why don't
called
you-
The Irredeemable Ant-Man.
I was going to say, why don't you want to pick Invincible, man?
I feel like I've probably championed Invincible plenty in these last couple weeks.
Is it legitimately your favorite? That's what Brandon's asking.
It absolutely is my favorite.
All right.
By Robert Kirkman.
All right. Ed?
What does he write? Let's see. Hold on.
I'm keeping
looking.
that. That's good.
Can't say I've read a ton of his stuff, but I'd have to say Invincible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between Invincible and Walking Dead. And Outcast is good too.
Yeah.
But I like Invincible. I think that's really well done.
I was just making sure I wasn't missing anything, but I mean, I would go with Outcast. I did read almost 200 issues of The Walking Dead.
Wow.
And it was, I liked it. But maybe because it feels kind of old now, like I'm going to go with Outcast.
Too popular now. It's not cool anymore.
Is Outcast still on TV?
I think it
No,
got canceled.
It got
Did you
fucking
watch it?
way canceled. No,
The first 3 episodes, fantastic.
I don't like that boy that's in it, though. The guy.
You don't like the
main,
guy?
The
He
main
never
dude.
got.
He's gross. He's always in these weird indie movies.
I'm going to look this guy up.
Yeah, he's just kind of a schmuck look. I don't like the way his face looks. Is that weird?
No.
I do that with
Totally
James
normal.
Franco.
Patrick
Yeah.
Fugit?
Yeah, Patrick
Yeah.
Fugit.
So first 3
He does have
episodes, scary, real
There's
real
an
good, and then after that, it just kind of
He
fell
does have an
off.
odd face.
Right? Like he's got a punchable face.
Yeah.
James Franco.
Again, him too.
Same thing.
I'm telling you right now, on the topic of conventions and comic shows opening up, as soon as Jeff Lemire is within a distance close to us, I'm going to his convention and I'm getting a James Franco commissioned by Jeff Lemire for
Whoa.
Ashley.
I'm going
I
to get a
cannot wait.
line cat commission because I want him to draw something you love.
Oh
And
my
hate
God,
it.
that's genius. That is genius.
Line
Ed.
cat by Jeff Lemire.
You
That is horrible.
despicable.
That is so... You could take that money and give it to an artist.
Donate it to an orphanage.
Yo, she said you could give it to an artist.
I'm also going to tell you, Ashley, straight up, if I ever had the opportunity to have Jeff Lemire on the show, and some of your comments were brought up, I'd be like, "Who?
Yo, who?
No.
Potter would immediately.
Lemire.
He would
That's
hit him with the
bootleg. That's a
fucking
bootleg show.
He would hit him with the fucking disclaimer
I'm
so
doing-
fast. Like
I'm
he'd be
gonna-
like, "The thoughts and opinions of Ashley did not reflect the thoughts
I'm
and
going to
opinions of
have
Shortbox
him
Podcast."
draw Loki and Captain Boomerang hugging.
Oh my God.
Ah,
Just
hate them
hugging.
forever.
Just hugging? Question mark.
Well,
wink,
yeah.
wink.
Oh my
I
God!
gotta
Wait,
see
what
it.
is happening,
I
Brandon?
don't know.
If you're
I don't
still
know. Brandon,
listening,
yeah.
we're so
Brandon
sorry.
does not.
What was the
deserve
question again? Thinking about Captain Boomerang's
We've
boner
already-
now.
All right. Let me bring us back. Brandon, thank you
Invincible.
so much.
Right? Yeah, Invincible.
Brandon Bevel, which is just a great alliteration for the
It
record.
is.
Brandon, thank you so much for the email. I will go ahead and chime in and say, him saying that, he now goes to comic shop, picks up comics outside of the character. That resonates with me because that's
That's cool.
something that I'll go to give, as much as I hate giving him credit. I'll give C credit for that because
I knew you were going there too.
I remember, when I first met him and I was, still relatively
I was about
new
to
to
say,
comic books.
Yeah, you can still give me credit because, to be fair, you were fairly young, and
Yeah,
I
I
was
was.
you were a young, supple, sweet boy, and
Took
I
you under
was
my wing.
I was a strong,
Molded you.
old man.
Brandon, once again, you sent in such an endearing email. I'm sorry where we are going with this.
Find out more on
Yeah, what's
Patreon.
it?
Shortbox After Dark.
Stupid. But I will go to say that was one thing C had kind of took me on his wing and taught me and recommended I do when it came to comics was, start looking at who was creating these comics that were my favorite outside of just the characters and go from there. Follow the artist and writer, not so much the character. And ever since then, it's definitely been helpful and making me.
Ever since then, C has never left. Much as I've tried to shake him as a friend, he still stalks me.
So, Brandon, great strategy, and I will go ahead and highlight that and champion that. Keep that with you. Follow the writers, follow the artists, follow the creators of those books and those stories that you like. It's not always the title character that does it. So thanks again for that email. And as always, if you guys want to send us an email that'll eventually get derailed and filled with a lot of very questionable comments by us, shoot us something short and sweet at our inbox.
Why not?
theshortbikesjacks@gmail.com. I'm still going to go ahead and continue that offer. I will gladly mail out some stickers, some of our new logo stickers, our comic box stickers that Ashley has so kindly designed. All you got to do is just provide an address, a good address in the email. I promise I won't send you
Social security number, credit card information.
Your checking routing number. Shout out some reset.
Big ups.
All right. Well, with that being said, with the shout outs out the way, let's go ahead and wrap up today's episode and go to our last segment of the show where we highlight other worthwhile entertainment and recommendations that we feel deserves to be on your radar. It's time for our Champion Season segment. Champion Season, for those of you tuning in for the first time, this is the segment of the show where we share recommendations that can be much more than comics. These include our movie picks, maybe some TV series we've started, books or video games that have also captured our attention. It's anything we feel is worthy of your time. Ashley, I'm going to go to you. What do you got to champion this week?
I'm going to champion Jupiter's Legacy.
The show.
The show. Yeah, the show. So I am on episode 7. I've got one left. And it's has so much more content than those, quick little comic runs that he did. So that's kind of fun. They did Chloe great. Chloe's exactly what I wanted. The only thing is Brandon, who's a character that you don't really like that much in the comics. In the show, he's like almost non-existent. Like there have been scenes where he shows up and I'm just like, I forgot that guy was in the show. Like he's that forgettable.
He's like cutting the grass or something, doing everything non-superhero.
He's like that, just forgettable. But everything else, like Hutch is still my favorite character. I love like the old like 1930s stuff that they do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
How far or how close or far was it from the source material that we covered last episode?
I'm only 2 in, and they took some swerves. It's like, oh. And just reading it, I'm like, okay, what are they doing now?
Okay.
Yeah. So it was really cool to read the source material because anytime you see the source material and then you see it in a show and it like translates, you're like, oh, that's so exciting to see. And you wait for like certain scenes to show up.
Like the Dark Star when he got out of the psychic painting.
Yeah, Dark Star is so cool.
He's more like of a figure in character in this.
Okay, that's cool.
So
yeah, it's good. I like it a lot.
That's funny when he put on the glasses when he's in the jail. He's like, let me look at that. And he puts on like reading glasses. It's just like big. And Dark Star's kind of like this big kind of dark side looking guy. So he puts on these reading glasses to look at something. That's just
he was in like 4 pages.
Yeah, he was in 4 pages in the comic.
Actually, are you like a part-time like time mage? Like where did you find time to finish 7 of 8 episodes?
She
and it
like
just
looked
dropped
down
Friday.
on me, so I said 2. I said I watched 2. He's like, that's it.
Human.
Well, I can work while I watch. So I work. I get like my sketchbook and get all the stuff I have to do, and then I work while the TV's on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Good use of your time. Anything else you want to champion?
Oh no, that has been pretty much all I've been doing the past 3 days.
Fair enough. And what about you? What do you got to champion?
I'm going to second that because I think it's fantastic. It's very good. I like the changes. I like they are, they're fleshing out the characters a lot. You're really getting. It's going to be really sad when Utopian gets annihilated, because he's a lot more likable in the show. They're fleshing them out. They're basically going back to it's essentially they're taking the source material and expanding on it. So they're telling the story and changing things to kind of throw you off. It's only in the first episode, so it's not a huge spoiler. But and I know we talked about it, but in the Dark Star scene where he puts him in that psychic painting, and then he even like it's the same exact thing like the beach, and he even brings the cake. Like it's like, oh, don't struggle. It's like I brought some cake for you, and Dark Star is struggling, and then and he starts to go like, oh, don't even try it. Here and he's about to say I'm God, and then Dark Star breaks out of the psychic painting.
Oh,
which
damn.
I don't think anyone has done in the comic.
No, it was
So-
like a very quick scene
Yeah.
in the comic.
Yeah,
you know?
so and it's like the fight continues, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So that's like a nice twist. And there's like, I won't add any more to that, but there's even another twist on top of that. But the going back and forth to like the, when the Wall Street crash, when seeing the factory workers, seeing the relationship between Sheldon and Walter, what type of guys they were, and their father, which it wasn't really an element, at least in that first
No, not at all.
trade. So you get to see, what their business was. They were in the steel industry. And then, Sheldon was like hey guys, like talking to all the workers and like friends with everybody, just like the good guy. And then Walter was the guy that had to like crunch the numbers and do all the, pretty much the bad news guy of the thing, along with the father. So they fleshed out that story, added more depth to that story, to the relationship. And then you get to see the actual vision of the island and stuff. So, I mean, they're really expanding it. The show just looks really good.
Yeah, it
the
really
costumes
does.
are spot on. The characters are. It's so cool watching like Walter and Sheldon because it's like they're from the comic book.
Damn.
Like, exactly like them.
So
I'm glad you guys did the follow-up homework.
I was going to say, it sounds like you guys both know a lot about the source material.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it shares similarities with something else. So my next question is, how is this different thematically from Watchmen?
Thematically, I think there's more of the it's in that same vein because we even talked about it when we talked about the first volume, where it's Mark Millar, so he's not treading new waters here.
Okay.
But the fact that it's a multi-generational group of superheroes, so you're getting
Well, they did that in Watchmen.
Yeah, but you're getting
family
like
of that.
the
It's like
family, the more family
tighter
parts
lens on
of
the
it.
family part.
There's
yeah.
like a tighter focus on the family because there's not a whole lot of fight scenes and action scenes, but it's a lot more. I'm not gonna say it's more character driven, but in this is basically more
I think I know
focused
what you
on
mean.
the like a generational differences but which they do tackle in Watchmen, but this is a little closer because it is like an immediate family that were kind of the chosen heroes, like a very small group. It wasn't like there was a bunch of heroes and stuff, but there's similarities. So if that's something,
does it end hopefully?
I don't. It hasn't ended yet. The series,
the
hasn't
comics,
ended.
it's
No.
not done with.
It's finishing up this year.
Huh.
Oh, I did not know that part.
Yeah.
Jupiter Legacy still is not done?
He does it when he wants to.
Oh, okay. I guess it's,
Yeah.
like I said, it's been a
Mark
while
Millar.
since
He's
I
got
read.
that Netflix
Okay,
money.
okay.
He'll do it when he wants.
Because I cannot tell you what how Volume 2 ends. But
Yeah, he said that it's going to wrap up. This is like the. I think he kind of planned it that way. Just kind of it wraps up while this show is premiering. So he's
Pulling an R. Martin, is he?
Yep. He might
Trying to
actually
get all
finish
them
it though.
checks.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Word.
he's got like $50 million of Netflix
I don't know,
money.
I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
sold on it. That's all.
Like I said, the acting is really good. Like the interpersonal relationships is good. You don't really need to watch or read the comic. It's not like you're gonna. It's one of those things where it adds a little more. Oh, okay. What are they gonna do now? But you don't need it to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But like I said, it is in the vein of Watchmen. It has some like Kingdom Come elements to it, with the younger generation of heroes. So it does share that, and we talked about it. Like I said, it's not treading new water, but it's very well done.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. I agree. Damn. Good. I'm gonna check it out. I appreciate you guys sharing that. All right. See, I'm gonna go to you, man. What do you got, champion?
Oh yeah. Speaking of tag team, I'm going to champion the tag team up
Oh,
of Randy Orton and Riddle on Monday
RK
Night
Bro?
Raw. RK Bro, dude. RK Bro is my favorite thing ever, dude. I love
Matt
Riddle
Riddle.
so much. As a high flyer, he is freaking amazing. Like his whole ultimate bro kick the sandals off his feet when he
that's who
jumps over the
is.
top
That's
rope.
why it works. Is because
It's
that's
so
what he is.
funny and it's good. And of course, Randy Orton, the Viper, the Legend Killer, Randy Orton.
This guy.
Yeah, man, I'm fucking
You've
doing
been
my
there.
homework,
Wow.
man. I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. I understand. They talk to me. That's one of my champions. The second champion is going. Did you just realize that I just did his song
Yeah.
in spoken word? You were like, oh my god.
Yeah.
The second is a old ass movie that I hadn't seen but was suggested to me. It's called The Keep, and it's directed by Michael Mann. And Michael Mann did Heat. He did Last of the Mohicans. He did a fuck ton of really, really good movies. Collateral, bunch of good movies. And he also directed Manhunter, which is basically the adaptation of Red Dragon. which is really, if you want to see Brian Cox try to play Hannibal Lecter, it's pretty good. Like, it's weird because you're like so used to Hannibal, being Anthony Hopkins, but it's not bad. The Keep is a weird. It's a space opera masquerading as a supernatural horror film masquerading as a war drama. And it's very bizarre. And the score is done by Tangerine Dream. Ooh. And it's just a weird... If you want to see a movie where the guy who created Miami Vice decided to try and do a horror film, that's it. Enjoy it. It's weird. In the best way possible. So...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've probably seen some of the imagery
I've seen
before.
The guy, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
The
okay.
Keep. It's really good.
I got one to share today. I'm going to go ahead and champion a Grammy Award-winning producer, DJ from Spain. I've definitely championed a few of his beat tapes here before. His name is Cookin' Soul. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel where he uploads visual beat tapes, and not just visual beat tapes, but just like his whole catalog up on YouTube. Some of them just have like a static image, and then some of them, like I was mentioning, the full visual beat tapes. He'll go ahead and take, old videos from like the 90s because he really loves the 90s and whatnot, but he'll splice up different footages, whether they be like, interviews, commercials, old shows. He loves old anime and whatnot, but he does like these visual beat tapes to go along with his audio beat tapes. And the three I'd recommend if you go on his YouTube channel and search Cookin' Soul, so Cookin' minus the G. He's got a visual beat tape for MF Doom, his MF Doom tribute beat tape, which has got like a bunch of footage of like MF Doom. And of course, the score is his actual beats that he makes. He's got a Kanye West one called Polo Ye, which is fantastic, especially if you miss and love old Ye like I do. And then he's got like 4 volumes of his Whatever beat tape series that are all full visuals. If you enjoy, production techniques honed by the best like Pete Rock, Kanye, Dilla, or other sample-based hip-hop producers, I highly recommend you get on Cookin' Soul. If you're a fan of the music we play here, Cookin' Soul is right up your alley, and those visual beat tapes are just so much fun to just have on in the back if you're doing like some work and you just want to hear some good, like, low-key like music or lo-fi music. And it's fun to like occasionally look up and see like what videos he's splicing and footages. So yeah, the Cookin' Soul YouTube channel, highly recommend it. Get on that. And that's actually all I got for champions, man, which kind of brings us to the end of our show. Shortbox Nation, thank you for hanging out with us. Hopefully you learned something new about the legend that is the late, great Maurice Severin. And maybe you'll check out one of the recommendations we shared this episode. If you do, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you ended up trying. Right into the show. Let us share it with the rest of the Shortbox Nation next episode. And if you want to commission Ashley or Ed for artwork, check out the show notes for links to their websites. I have a pre-recorded outro for information on next week's episode and a whole bunch of other things we have going on, so stay tuned for that. And of course, we appreciate you hanging out with us this week. Take care and tune in next Wednesday for more comic talk. Peace. Yo, Shortbox Nation. Look, if you're the type of podcast listener or fan of the show that sticks around for these outros, shout outs to you. I appreciate you seeing this episode to the end. And you know what? I get a chance to speak uninterrupted about what we have planned for next week's show and other important things we have going on. Speaking of which, next week we should have an interview with comic artist Matt Lesniewski. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He's the Eisner-nominated creator of The Freak from AdHouse Books. He's also the artist on a Dark Horse comic called The Crimson Flower alongside writer Matt Kent. He's dropping another creator-owned body of work called Static, and we're working on having him on the show next week. So you'll want to check in next Wednesday for that interview if you're a fan of those comics. And in case that isn't enough for you, you know we got you covered with bonus content, even more Shortbox stuff on our Patreon community, like our spin-off bonus podcast series, Pilot's License. It's a series in which we revisit a classic comic book cartoon every month, like Batman the Animated Series. We've done episodes on Spider-Man Unlimited, the OG TMNT cartoon, and a whole bunch more. We're actually recording an episode on the old HBO Spawn animated show later this month. So if you like our content and you want more of it in the form of bonus episodes, topic voting, merch, and even more, consider supporting the show and joining our Patreon community at patreon.com/shortbox, or just click the link in the show notes. Keep it easy on yourself. That's what I got to share with you today. I want to go ahead and thank you and the rest of the Shortbox Nation for tuning in this week. As you can tell, we aren't slowing down anytime soon. We have so much more that we're working on, and I just know you have to love it. So make sure you're subscribed to the show on your favorite podcast app. And do me a favor. If you enjoy the show and you know someone that might enjoy it as well, whether they're a friend of yours or a fellow comic head or a collector or a fellow nerd about pop culture, man, go ahead and get them hip to the Shortbox. Have them, become a part of the Shortbox Nation. We'd love to grow and expand the show with your help. So do us that solid, man. We'd appreciate it. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Have a great week. And please continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. Peace.